Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Classically Urban Podcast. I am OG Philly G.
And I am your mother's favorite side hoe.
It's your boy, Baby Ice Cube.
I'm George.
Resident streamer, Adrian Gryphos.
And, yeah. We're back with a semi-short episode.
After taking a week off.
Yeah, and the last episode was short as fuck, too, which I wasn't a part of. But we're back, and this episode may or may not be short. Depends how sidetracked we get. So, yeah.
What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, for any of the consistent listeners out there, they may or may
Real
not.
OG fans.
Real OG. Real OG. They, you may or may not recall, there is a legend of a man in Indiana.
Whose panties are big.
And he is legendary, yet infamous at the same time. For reasons that have been real prominent in the news recently. Rape, yeah.
Do you just want to give like a quick rundown of this great man?
So we'll recap.
Great is a stretch, George.
Yeah, we'll recap real quick. So there's a man. There once was a man
Michael Finnegan.
named Big Panties. So before I go into this, I'm going to preface by saying, even though I learned more information, still don't know his name. Still don't know this man's name. Big Panties was a man in the Indiana State Prison System who was infamous, famous, legendary, for knocking you out and sucking your dick. And he was a very large fucking man. Well,
Very large sucking man, please.
so to add to this, right? He actually so do you recall the Booty Warrior? The whole meme? We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
It was a skit in the Boondocks.
Yeah. Well, he's a real person.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They based that off of a person.
Fleece
that was like a
Johnson.
real interview.
Yeah, his name was Fleece Johnson.
So it turns out Big Panties did something to the tune of that. He would approach you and he would offer you commissary and a blowjob. But if you said no, he was knocking you the fuck out and sucking your dick. So he gave you the option. The problem was once he was giving you the option,
No.
yeah. It turns out that he was really like, it was like, hey, you know,
You want a candy bar and a blowjob?
I'll give you like 6 soups and a blowjob. And if you were like, nah, I'm cool, he'd be like, oh, yeah, okay. Well,
Then
I'm
you
going to
just got
give
a
you these
blowjob.
6 soups and a blowjob, or you're just getting the blowjob.
I mean, that's a pretty reasonable offer. With my luck, I would have turned down them, and then the deal would have gotten worse.
Yeah, and then you'd have been walking through the hall, going to take a piss or something, and then woke up on the bathroom floor with your dick and balls wet.
Yeah, it's horrible.
My thing is, like in his head, that I guess
It's
he means
reasonable to him.
Yeah, that's completely consensual to him. That is no longer rape. That's just him doing you a favor. Like that is so.
So it gets worse. I learned more information from a coworker that I have now. I'm not gonna put any names out there. He's a good guy. He spent time in
Fuck you,
the
Terry.
prison system.
That's what Big Penny said.
So I was asking him about it, and I was like, so, you know, or the stories. And I was like, hey, man, wait a minute. You went to prison. You know who Big Panties is? He was like, yeah, duh. Like it was just the obvious question. Like, duh. Like, obviously I know who Big Panties is. And I was like, so was he really as big as, like, I've heard? Like, and he's like, yes, he was a massive man. Like, he was huge. And I was like, oh. And I was like, do you ever, like, run into him? And he was like, no, but I shared a cell with his cousin. And I was like, oh. I was like, so his cousin was in prison too?
Dontrell panties.
And he was like, well, really, most of his family was in prison. And I was like, no shit. And he was like, yeah. In fact, it's a family fucking tradition.
What?
The whole family.
It's a family business.
It's a family fucking tradition. Most of his family members are in prison and knocking people out and sucking dick. It's a family fucking tradition.
I think the correct word is epidemic.
And here's the craziest part. They're all big as fuck, too.
Genetics. That's terrifying.
Do you think it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, where like
Caleb.
each new person is a Big Panties?
If he has brothers, they're probably in prison. His cousins are 100% in prison. They're all big. And according to my coworker, are very open and proud about what they do.
Proud.
Proud. That was
So
the word he
if
used.
they had a,
If you asked, like, hey, so, like, is this true? They'd be like, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
so hold up.
In fact, you interested? Pretty
fucking
Do you want some
much.
soup? Do you want some soup?
Pretty fucking much. It's a family goddamn
Do you
tradition.
think their coat of arms?
There's
is
a whole family of panties out here sucking dick, whether you want it to happen or not.
My whole thing is,
It's a family. It's like a rapey version of The
Listen,
Hills Have Eyes.
That's like adding
But,
a
like,
new
here-
context to Panty Raid.
here's the
The
thing.
panties have eyes.
Here's the thing. This has got to be the first serial rapist family in American history. This is a lot bigger than we think it is.
and nobody talks about it.
Dude, we gotta blow the story wide open.
Bro, I'm telling you, there are always
Whistleblowers.
like serial rapists.
And guess what? The guards are in on it with all of the cousins.
But there are always serial rapists, but their families are always like, I had no idea he does it, and none of them ever do it. But this is the first one where
it's-
they all are like, "Fuck it, we suck dicks.
Yeah.
And we are proud of it."
They're all doing that.
That is amazing.
Like, it went from like a scary, like, you know, like legendary tale to like, it's just something that we do.
Yeah.
As the Panty family, we
See,
suck dick.
Here's what we need to do. We need to go full out American Vandal on this story and do all the research, interview all the people, and figure out who these people are.
Yeah.
To
God,
catch a
God rest
cocksucker.
Big Panty's soul, but
I'm
his
gonna-
cousins are fucking living in the, continuing the legend.
I'm gonna provide you guys support from a distance because I'm not trying to get my name added to their panty sucking list.
Caleb Gray, welcome.
My thing is, are all their nicknames panties related? Like, is there like big panties and there's like tiny panties, but he's still a big motherfucker? And those are like there could be so many names.
I like where you're going with this.
Daddy panties toot 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 toot. Mommy panties toot 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 toot. Baby panties toot toot.
Yeah.
Let's go hunters.
So he's telling me all this, and I'm just in awe because I'm like, what the fuck? And then we got to talking about prison a little bit more. And I actually discovered something that actually would make a good news story. Like, it could be a good, like, he was telling me that a lot of the guys in there for drugs are Vietnam vets. Because the government used to get these the soldiers in Vietnam high. So they would go out into the fields and just not think about what the fuck they're doing. Like, I'm talking meth, coke, heroin.
A lot of uppers.
Like, they're like supplying these people, and they made these people addicts. And if you ever know anything about Vietnam, you know that like a lot of the people that were in the war were real young. So we're talking like 17-year-olds in the war, and the government's making them drug addicts. And to this day, they're in prison because the government fucked them up.
Don't they also have a lot of cancer because of Agent Orange? Because that wasn't that Vietnam.
Yeah.
See, look, cancer and drug addicts, killing them.
Isn't that scary as
The
fuck?
government did something fucked up, and then blamed other people.
Well,
so that
and
they
the
didn't have
craziest
to get
part
the
is he was
flack for
asking
it?
him. He was like, a lot of the people in there that went to Vietnam or whatever were they never touched drugs a day in their life. They went to Vietnam and now they're addicts and stuck in the prison system. I will throat fuck you, panty style.
So you're gonna blow him.
He didn't offer me soup.
Yeah. So yeah, that's learned a lot about the prison system this week. Speaking of the prison system, in rap news. What? Too much?
Was that supposed to be like your clue bombs or something like that?
Yeah, the air horn.
Jesus Christ.
No, nothing. Sounds good over the mic. I thought.
It actually did kind of sound
It's
good
pretty
over
it's
the
pretty good,
mic.
It's pretty good. So there's a new rapper, rising star, if you will. He's got like 3 songs on YouTube that are at tens of millions of views. Goes by the name of, drumroll Brandon,
Don't we like shit ourselves when we do this?
Kid Boo.
Oh, I think you've told me about him actually.
I'm fucking leaving.
And guess what? Guess what color his hair is? Take a guess.
Pink.
Hey! He actually had fangs, like cemented onto his teeth, like Boo has fangs. Yeah.
So he's a shitty vampire.
Have you seen Dragon Ball Z, you piece of shit?
I know, but he isn't made of bubble gum. He just has
He's
pink
a
hair.
demon.
Goes by the name of Kid Boo. Got bright pink hair, like Kid Boo pink. Yeah. He started making noise with a couple of his songs. One song in particular goes by the name of "Death to SoundCloud."
Please tell me he has one just massive dread like Boo's antenna.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that'd be so good.
No, he'll braid it though, so it's like 2 antennas type deal. So he's making all this noise, right, in the hip hop community, and people started doing some digging on him. And he's been telling everyone that he's like much like the young rappers. He's young, like 22-ish, give or take, right? Well, he's actually a former signee of DJ Khaled, he had a different name by the name of Humongous the God.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't creative before, he's not now. So just don't even make the face. He's in fact not 22. He's in fact in his early to mid 30s and has a 12-year-old daughter that he doesn't claim. And the reason that people found out about all this is because they found him in the prison system with the mugshot for child abuse.
So that probably ended his career, didn't it?
No.
Oh.
No, he's still got a shit ton of followers.
Bro, this is the hip hop game. They don't give a fuck.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, this is all very recent. Like, this is all just starting to come out. Okay, so the reason he's also getting very popular is his music videos, and he had an interview with somebody by the name of DJ Vlad. He does a lot of, like, interviews with rappers. And in the interview, he told him that he's a clone. He was made by a company called Clonaid. And I'm not kidding. And he's dead ass.
Does he
about
believe this?
No. If you watch the interview, it's almost scary, like how serious he is, because he's super well spoken. So he's just like, "Yes, I am a clone."
From the makers of Rolade, Clonaid.
Yeah, yeah. He said
This
he was
man-
cloned.
This man had the name Humongous.
Oh, he also has
God.
the Majin Buu logo on his
Stop.
tattooed. Yeah.
He has his first name was Humongous the God.
Mhm.
Trash.
Mm.
Second name Kid Boo.
Mhm.
Wasn't even original. Trash.
Mhm.
And then he made up a company named Clonaid.
You know
I'm
why he
going
goes by the name
to-
of Kid Buu? Because he liked the idea that Kid Buu takes everybody's powers and he's better than you with their powers, which is ironic because a lot of the songs he makes is just it's the same flows and types of beat as everybody else.
I'm going
So
to.
he's almost
So
he's not
bad.
better per se, but
I'm
he's
going to
truly
pause
trying to embody
and
it.
touch back on the whole Clonaid thing. I feel like I don't know. We shouldn't just outright be like, oh yeah, that's bullshit. This guy's talking out his ass. Because in the event that there is some like company that's kept really well under wraps that does human cloning, which sounds like something you wouldn't have open to the society, you know, I'd feel really dumb if I was like, this is bullshit. Not saying I believe it.
Why
but
would this dipshit be the only one who knows about this company?
Maybe he's
and
the
the
only-
public.
Oh, because he claims he escaped the facility.
2 questions.
all I'm saying is I'd feel really dumb if I was like, oh, that's
And
preposterous.
he says a lot of his memories of his previous. He refers to himself as a second gen because he's cloned. He says that a lot of his first gen memories are not there anymore because of his excess in alcohol and drugs in his early ages.
Okay, so 2 questions. Why would they clone him? And does he spell Clonaid with a K or a C?
He didn't. He just said clonate.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just
This
saying,
is the state of hip hop right now, Brandon. How do you feel?
I want to flip this fucking table, bro, because it makes me so angry. And like the fact that he has millions of followers in his mind means that everyone believes him, when everyone's honestly probably just making fun of him because he's an idiot.
So he's also gained infamy with a man by the name of Adam22. Shout out Adam22. Shout out No Jumper. Rope Gang. Who has a very successful podcast.
Clonaid's a thing. Just found him on Wikipedia.
Established in '97 in the Bahamas.
Wow, this is weird. Anyway,
and I'm glad I didn't just go along with the other strategy.
First of all, I'm okay with being wrong, so it doesn't bother
I know,
me
I
that I
just-
just said that.
I
Like
just-
that's fine. He's still a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just throwing that out.
Yeah,
oh,
no.
Brandon, it
I
gets
just-
better. So along with the Majin Buu tattoo on his forehead, which is placed between his eyes, much like the boos, he has the word masterpiece across his entire forehead. Entire forehead.
Cody, this is like the bane of my existence,
I know,
bro.
it's pretty great.
And I know this is why you brought this up
I
because
know.
it makes me so freaking angry.
Did you look up Kid Buu?
Yeah.
So
It looks ugly as
Show,
fuck.
show Brandon. I just want to.
His heart's tattooed on his eyelids.
He probably still fucks though.
Motherfucker, I'm not 90.
You gotta put it all up in it. I can't see without
hold on.
my spectacles.
So I'm reading Clonade's website, and the first thing that pops up is them responding to an inquiry about the possible cloning of Michael Jackson. And basically, their whole response is, we're going to respect his privacy because he's deceased, but Michael was a visionary who wasn't afraid to embrace new technologies. And, like, it's like just paragraph after paragraph.
Yeah, Kid Buu said that Michael Jackson was a subject of clonated, as was Gucci Mane.
So his
See,
clone, is that the one who touched kids, or was that the original Michael Jackson?
We'd probably be a lot further in cloning technology if people who weren't fucking bleeding hearts were all like, "Oh, ethics, you can't do clones."
People clone their pets all the time.
Well, yeah, but cloning people. I'm saying we would.
It's
be
actually
further-
really common for people to clone their pets.
We'd be further in people cloning technology.
The
if
ironic thing about
ethics-
cloning your pet is it's not actually a clone. They usually have like different attitudes and totally different personalities. So it's basically you just get the same looking dog. It's just not the same dog.
So I don't like cloning. To me, I don't like. Sure, there's ethics behind it, but I don't really care. Like, it's not that big of a
What
deal.
are the rights for the clones? Are they actual people?
I mean, if they are biologically the same as us, then yes. Like, it is what it is. If they have emotions and feelings like we do, if they think like we do, and they have all the same parts that we do, then yes. Because then at that point, racism up to this point is null and void. Like, we shouldn't be fighting racism at that point because technically, we are all the same parts and we all look different, but we're still considered the same thing.
What happens when the clones can't provide for themselves, or when the clones?
But I'm saying, Caleb, if they are clones of us and have all of our parts, have all of the ways we think and all of our emotions, they are just people.
See, this is almost like the whole fucking concept behind the new Jurassic World.
There's a really
movie.
big thing about the whole ethics on it. It's just all I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but
it's a
like
pain in
that's
the
I don't
ass.
think that's the ethical issue because if it's a person, it's a person. They deserve rights. It's the ethical issue is if you should
If that person
violate
was made
someone's-
by natural process, then yes. But then you have those like Bible thumpers who are like,
Yeah, but they're fucking stupid. No one thinks they're
but
smart
they're
at all.
Also, usually more power than the scientists.
Yeah, because they're stupid, and the world is full of stupid people. But that's not an ethical issue, is what I'm saying. It's just not
but their ethical issue becomes science and progression's ethical issue.
because they refuse all science-based things. That's just them being ignorant. That's not an ethical issue,
When
though.
that gets in the way of science developing, that's where their ethical issue becomes science's progression issue.
But I'm telling you, it's not an ethical issue. It's just them being ignorant.
Then their ignorant issue. It's still
That's why I'm saying there's no ethical issue with it. It's just ignorance.
it's still an issue. You just can't categorize something as it's ignorant because there's a category of ignorance, and it's an ignorance brought about by their ethics.
Human
Thus.
cloning might be good because we could clone organs at least.
Yeah, but then you're harvesting
Stem
organs
cells.
from living.
No,
then,
you can probably isolate a specific organ, maybe. I don't know. I don't know about the science,
stem
but that
cells.
then
is
you're creating people just to be harvested, which means
They've
that
already done that though. You don't remember My Sister's Keeper? It's a true story. They made a test tube baby to cure their daughter with cancer.
yes, but they don't do that a whole bunch anymore, right?
I mean,
It's
I don't know.
'cause-
I feel
Test
like
tube babies are a thing.
when you
if you want to make a baby that's black with blue eyes, you can do it.
when you like harvest stem cells,
But they don't do it to harvest them. They
It's
make
not
them.
like you're not making a whole person. Are you? Or are you making? You're just making that organ.
Well, the thing about the My Sister's Keeper story is that they, test tube baby, whatever the what, right?
Yes.
Well, they couldn't get the organs out of her until she was grown, like not grown, but like old enough to where her organs were developed.
So
that
They
was,
had to be like
they
roughly
raised
the
this
same
person
size.
to kill them,
yeah.
which is
Ethical.
where the ethics part comes in. You can't just make life and then raise that life just to be killed off like
I
cattle.
wasn't talking about killing nobody.
But that's
That's
the
the whole-
reason that they're
You've
like
never seen that
cloning
movie?
is unethical.
yeah,
because
but that's because you're killing a human.
you're making the human just for their organs anyways. That's the benefit of cloning.
I think science can probably get to a point we can probably clone a specific organ.
They
Stem
kind of
cells.
need to, yeah, stem cells. But then
Yeah.
there are people that are bothered by fucking stem cell research too, which is a whole different thing. People are fucking stupid, and people are the biggest bane to progression in science and technology.
Caleb, what I was saying this entire time is basically that if you clone a human, it is a human. It has rights, which means that they cannot just harvest it to kill it because you can't just do that to any walking person around the world.
Yeah, I was only saying that the reason
But
that
they
we
do it all
aren't.
the time in the black market, Brandon. I don't understand.
The black market is illegal, though.
No, it's not. Only if you get caught.
Shut up. So my point, like I was saying, like we're essentially agreeing because I'm telling you, yes, that's.
What
not,
about all them people
that's
that went
not-
missing in Katrina?
Shut up. That's not ethical. But just cloning people, that has no ethical.
You
Like
need
that's
to
not an
clone
ethical
people
issue.
more so you can increase the advancement of the cloning technology. That way, we will be able to make just organs that are
The
mature to
ethical
the
issue is that
20-year-old
humans
age.
are playing God. That's the ethical issue.
That too. We'd be further with where we are right now if people didn't have as much of a problem with it. But because it's so like morally gray, both playing God and making people to die for the sake of science, that's where it becomes difficult.
Here's a philosophical debate. What's stopping us from, say, doing human testing on people on death row? This is a question for everybody.
Yo, that's not bad.
Because they're still people.
But like they when you go into jail, you basically like
Yeah,
revoke
but then you,
all of your
but then you
rights.
can
don't
also
you?
bring up the topic that death row is not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like,
a lot of people
okay,
think that the
okay,
death
but, like,
sentence
okay.
should be abolished.
I guess that's because I think of death row as people who actually deserve to die, like child rapists. But
Isn't
Yeah,
that
but
people
they don't
playing
get put on
God,
death
though?
row.
that's true.
Child rapists get put in prison
Bro.
for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Child rapists. Let's Caleb.
No, I'm talking about
Come on,
deciding.
no.
No, child rapists deserved.
To die. Say it. Just say it because you mean it. You know you mean it.
Yes, they're worse than scum.
No,
They
that's
should-
not what I
They
said.
should be purged.
See, that's all
Yeah,
you had to
that's-
say.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But what I'm saying is, it's
They
not
should be
our
used as a
position.
resource.
Wait a minute, isn't there a group right now
It's not
that's
our
like
position
growing
to
and it's
decide
like
who lives or
adult men who
dies.
want to date little
NAMBLA? That's been a thing for years, man. North American Man-Boy Love Association, I think.
Yikes.
Caleb, I'm not saying everyone is like has like we don't have to pass judgment on every person that whether they should live or die. But child rapists, I'm pretty sure we can all come to a pretty strong agreement globally. They probably deserve to die.
As Joe Rogan once said, a person that likes to fuck kids is like a dog that likes to bite dicks. Just shoot that crazy thing and get on with your day.
Okay. So what about people who have killed somebody?
We've all agreed that murder can be justified. That's different.
So can other things.
Motherfucker, just grab the mic. Stop yelling.
So
I'm just saying.
that's the tough
Death
part.
death row is typically people who have killed somebody.
Yeah, but then we can get into the argument of we need to like fix our whole prison system in general. So it's very see. Look, you see how the
Purge.
world is so interconnected.
Purge them
Isn't
all.
it crazy?
Purge
Purge them all.
them all.
Yeah, everybody on death row.
Wipe the slate clean.
Okay.
It
Start
won't
from
matter
scratch.
what's the super volcano erupts. We'll all be dead anyway. So
Hey, yeah, apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean,
We have another apocalypse coming up.
Yeah.
When?
Here soon. I think Yellowtone's stated to explode in the next couple 100 years.
yo, what was Homeboy
Oh,
talking
that's
about
a
last night
while.
about the fucking the singularity?
yeah, the 2012.
What in the fuck was he talking about?
It made sense.
Yeah.
He was like some people passed over into the other time and other people didn't.
It's essentially the rapture.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it.
Randy got left behind.
Who's Randy?
Our friend from the other night.
Why'd you have to remind me he exists?
Who's Randy?
With his stupid
bus.
overbite and his gums bigger than his teeth.
Wait, did I pass over in the singularity and I don't remember who Randy is?
Yeah. Yeah.
He tried to fight Gabe.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, he tried to hit him with like a wad of paper and Gabe slapped the fuck out of him.
I gave him that water
and
paper.
then Randy.
You
said
gave
he-
Randy the rod. Why?
I showed him how to make a Millwall brick just because he asked me.
And then Gabe slapped the fuck out of him and like sat on him, holding him down. And he's sitting there yelling, "Sissy!" Trying to get his sister to go get his parents.
And
Little do we know, Randy is like one of our subscribers. Just crying at home right now.
So, quick story.
he was an interesting kid.
Listen, shout out to Randy because he's probably a really good person. I don't know him personally anymore, but he came into
If I
my
could find him on Facebook.
he came into my job one day
I'm on it.
and he recognized me and I was like, "Oh, hey Randy, how you doing?" It was around Easter and he asked me, "What are you doing for Easter?" And I was like, "Going to be with my family like normal people." He's like, "Well, if you want to come to my church," and then handed me a pamphlet. I was like, "This is not happening
So
to me
he's
right
still
now."
nuts.
Bro, I was like, "Bro, you did not change one bit."
Dude, I feel
We also gained a couple subscribers, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out there.
sweet. We like your appreciation for our content, and we continue making it so you can enjoy it. Anyways, as I was saying, The other day I was like playing like WoW or some shit, and some people came knocking on my door. And I was like, "Shit, I'm sorry guys, I'll be right back." And I go over to the door. I think I was actually playing League of Legends, but I opened up the door and there were these like nice young men. They're like, "Hey, Sharon, your
We're
name."
the strippers.
What?
Will you be providing the oil?
They were Mormons. They were Mormons. Fucking
Same
stupid.
thing.
Anyways, they're like, yeah, your neighbor, she recommended we came over here because you're new to the area. We were wondering if you're interested in going to our church. I'm like, oh, you know, now it's just a really bad time. I was in the middle of a important call with work, you know. So do you mind if I maybe chat with you guys some other time? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Well, how about we leave this pamphlet? But I really got to go. And so I like closed the door in their face and like locked that shit. And then went over to my computer and like I put on my headset and then like we were in a team fight. So I was like, oh, shit. Sorry, guys. Here I come. Some fucking Mormons were at my door. And I didn't realize how loud I said that. They couldn't have been down the stairs yet. They're probably still at my door.
Yo, you're way nicer than my family because when my mom sees people come to her door, she looks at them like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Oh God."
Oh, God.
And they talk to her, and she's like, "We don't want any." Just close the door, and I'm like, "Damn."
Oh, man.
If it ever happens to me, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll be right back, and I'll close my door and I'll go in the mirror and I'll draw 3 6s on my forehead and come back. So what were you saying?
No, a pentagram.
I would just turn the hose on them.
What? They're actually really nice.
George would open the door, like start talking to him, walk around the side of the house, turn the hose on, and then grab the hose and just start waving it at him.
I'm gonna keep a fucking spray bottle next to the door. Bad cat. Bad.
They were.
Bad. We'll fill it with whiskey so because they can't drink. Be
Yeah.
like, who's the sinner now? Who's sitting now?
That's horrible.
Yeah, well,
When I was still at college.
all while
there
the
were-
6s are on my forehead.
There's a joke about that drinking thing.
Devil's within you.
It's, why don't you take a Jehovah's Witness fishing?
Why?
We'll drink all your liquor. Why don't you take 2 of them?
Why?
Or no, why do you take 2 of them?
Why?
And they won't drink any of it. You have to take, yeah.
Oh.
Too afraid of the other.
Yeah. It's like North Korea.
We had Mormons that walked around Indiana State's campus, and like nobody wanted to fucking associate with them. So one day I was like, "Yo, I'll fucking see what they have to talk about." And shit.
Why?
I was bored.
They won't leave you alone.
Oh, I mean, I actually sat. You ever get like those like prank calls and you answer them, then you just fuck with the person on the other line?
No, I've
just
done
to-
that. I've done that. You just go up to somebody to talk to them, start fucking with them,
Well,
kinda.
no, they come up to you, then you just talk with them to fuck with them.
Oh yeah.
But like I was just legitimately talking with them. They were like, "Oh yeah, and how's school? I'm pretty sure you've had all these struggles." I'm like, "Yeah," and like we just fucking talked about life. And they're like, "Wow, you're really great. We want to give you this Book of Mormon." I actually, legit ass got a Book of Mormon. I think I left it at like my frat house. So
To be
it's
fair-
probably-
Great place to leave that.
To be fair, I have a Quran in my car. Leith gave it to me.
Alhamdulillah.
It was just like the last week of school, so like they were like the hippies going around giving out their pamphlets of mystical guidance and shit. I'm like, sure, I'll give you fucking $5 so you can continue making this garbage. And fucking did.
I think it's important to like
It's kind of
culturally.
like how I responded to Dude in Broad Ripple.
That sounded really good over the headset.
I think it's important for everybody, like in every culture, to study other people's culture, because then that just builds like a more awareness of like how to treat people.
It was kind of cool learning about
Yeah.
the history of the book.
Well, yeah, when you like,
It's legit just a dude who was like, I want to make a religion where I can have as many wives as I want. And then a lot of people were like, we're not okay with you having as many wives as you want. And they chased him out. Then they went to like various different states trying to have as many wives as they wanted and were persecuted. But one of the time that they locked up all the people, there was some like gang or civil rights shit that was going on at the same time. And so they're like, oh, we're busy chasing down these black people. You guys can go. And they're like, okay, we're going to pack up all of our wives and go to this state over here. And that's how they ended up in that state over there.
In Salt Lake City performing for Mormons.
but like. It's like when you talk to like those crazy people on campus who are just screaming
Oh
and
yeah,
like
you're
freaking
all
out.
whores.
When you
You're
actually
going
get
to
them to
hell.
sit down and talk to you, they
They're actually
actually
really
are
chill.
normal fucking people.
The only reason they do that is
To get your attention.
Yeah, they
It's
want
shock
to get
value.
you riled up.
Yep.
I've watched a documentary. Brother Jeb, he's the one who has the whole thing where he goes around to different campus. It's like Brother Jeb's ministry. He goes to campuses across the states.
Oh, I don't know.
and does that. And he's like, yeah, we literally just say, hey, you're this horrible person. So people want to talk. We don't say that you're this horrible person beyond saving, because that's the point that we want to get across to you. You can still pray and do all this other shit.
Dude, I watched a grown man call 2 women walking by him who summertime had shorts on, like just straight up called them whores, and I was like, oh, this is 2018, dude. You gotta be careful with that shit. Like, that's dangerous.
No, that's freedom of speech, man.
Preach.
Well, I was gonna say speech, then preach, then basically the same thing.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So how was everybody's weeks?
Man, I have stream stuff. Do you guys want to say stuff before I do
I
that?
feel like I actually had something to talk about, but I've forgotten it now.
How you neglected your car and it died?
Yeah.
Car neglect is a serious problem.
Yeah.
It's true.
Every car. You know, what the fuck?
He just shaded the fuck out of you. Continue.
But is it true?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
My car pooped out, but it wasn't because I neglected it.
I helped with that.
It was because I failed to see something that was right in front of my fucking face. That ever happened to you, Phil?
Oh my.
You're like, oh, it has to be this problem, and you go and you fix it, and you're like, why is it still oh,
just hit the
oh, look at this thing right
By
in front of my
accident.
face. Look at that.
Yep.
That's how I felt. I was
Right.
like, hell yeah, fix this vacuum leak.
It's-
Oh, it's been my throttle cable this whole time? Fuck. Yeah, because I wasn't looking at the throttle.
I have one of those cars right now, and I can't figure it out.
Really? Cartistic?
I've replaced everything in that system, and
Is that the same one that like
I put
drives
300
and-
miles on the bitch.
That's one
no
where
light.
It keeps on going
Give it
wrong.
back to the customer. He drives down the street. Boop. Check engine light. I put 300 miles on the bitch.
You've driven it that much?
Yeah.
Nothing?
No light. I drove it. My boss
Is
drove
there
it.
something
My
you
other
can-
boss
wait,
drove it.
Is
My
there
service
something you can
drove
do that can make it throw an engine light and see if the other code pulls up with it? Oh.
No, because
Maybe unplug-
this is a very specific code, and there's no electrical like sensors on it.
Oh, unplug a O2 sensor and see if the code comes with it. Maybe?
Typically, no.
I mean, I don't know. Worth a try. You've tried everything else.
I feel like that guy is legit getting in his car as soon as you give it back to him, kicking the fucking floorboard as hard as he can repeatedly until the light comes on.
Well, see, we are kind of half convinced he's doing it on purpose, because every time he comes back in, he offers to buy the service writer a drink.
Is he just lonely?
We don't know if he's lonely or gay. We don't know.
Maybe he thinks you're a thick boy, Phil. He wants that.
No, I've
bu-
never
he
talked
wants
to
that
him.
Butt.
Never talked to him.
My supervisor turned up on a customer today, and it was great.
What happened?
He was being a dick. If you watch my Snapchat story, Codeine Cody 317, shout out your boy. I was sitting in said customer's car after they were finished with it, because we decided that even though it's been finished for a couple hours, we're not even going to tell him it's finished, because he's been a dick the whole time, and he could pick it up tomorrow. When we pulled it into the shop,
Where do you work again, friend?
don't worry about it.
You
When we
remember.
pulled it into the shop, I sat in the car for a little while, just to sit there, and I fucked up all his seat adjustments. Leaned it all the way back, gangster style.
You don't understand how mad that makes customers.
I
Like, you
know.
adjust their seat or you change the radio
Dude, he had
station.
his lumbar all the way out, and I was like, yeah, I know it's going to make him mad. No lumbar support. And I tilted that bitch all the way back.
Oh my god.
He was being such a dick. Like, I was mad busy today because my supervisor had to leave for a couple hours. And he called, and I was like, oh, welcome to, thought you got me. Could you please hold for just one moment? And he like, put him on hold. And I'm like running around trying to, and there's like 4 people in the lobby, and I'm having to fill out all their tickets and shit. And I'm just like, fuck. And then he calls back, and I guess he hung up. And I was like, oh, you please hold for just one moment. And he was just like, no, I'm not holding. And I was just like, well, I'm really busy right now. And he's like, no, I'm holding for 15 minutes. And I was like, I understand, but I am extremely busy. And he's like, I'm getting my car towed up there. I'm just calling to let you know. And I was like, okay, that's great. And he's just like, I was like, we'll give you a call when we get it. And he's like, you don't even know what's wrong. And I was like, yeah, we'll give you a call when we get it, so we can fill out a ticket. And he's just like, well, you don't know. And we get tickets when a car gets towed, so we know when it's coming there. And I was like, oh, are you so-and-so? And then he was like, what? And then I read off his phone number, and he was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a call. And he was like, oh, okay. And I fucking hung up. Fuck you, dude. I know. Like, you don't have to let me know that your car's getting towed there. We're going to find out eventually.
Some dude's going to walk in and be like, yo,
right.
where do I put it?
Right, exactly. And I was just like, whatever. And so he calls later, and my supervisor picks up, and he's arguing with my supervisor about the towing or whatever. And my supervisor's like, first and foremost, like, I don't deal with that. I work in the service department. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And he kept trying to argue the situation about blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't know why you. And the guy was like, I guess the dude said something like, why do you have to argue with me? He's like, I'm not. I'm just telling you, I don't control that shit. Like, period. And the guy's like arguing with him about it. And my supervisor goes, he's like, look, we could roll that bitch out into the parking lot right now and you'll still have a flat tire. Or we could put this tire on your car because the tire that you want isn't in stock. And he was like, oh, yeah, just put the tire on. He's like, okay, have a nice day. Fuck, you gonna argue with the dude who's trying to help you? Like, what? My supervisor's not having. He straight up told him, we will roll it out into the parking lot right now with that flat tire. So when we pulled in, I decided to just hang out in the car in a little bit. Put it on Snapchat.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, it's just like, how are you going to yell and get mad at the person who's helping you? Your car needs to get fixed, buddy. Period. You going to drive on a flat tire? No. All right. Shut the fuck up.
Hey, in Indianapolis, some people will.
Yeah, we had one dude who came in the other night with a flat tire, and we get to fixing it today because he came in like 2 minutes to close the other night, and I was like, you dickhead. He has a cracked wheel. I call him. I was like, hey, I was like, we can put a tire on it. It's going to be useless. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I mean, your wheel's cracked. And he's like, well, how bad? And I was like, I mean, I just told you that the tire's not going to last on the wheel, so it's bad. Like, the fuck? And he's like, oh, all right. Do you guys have, like, a spare donut I could put on there? And I was like, nah. Like, we don't carry donuts. Like, the fuck? So he comes there, and he's like, could I see the wheel? And I was like, yeah, it's in your trunk. Like, he just didn't believe us. Like, oh, yeah, it's cracked. And he went and looked at it, and it was like a crack and a dent in the wheel. Like, and he's like, oh. And I was like, yeah. He's like, so do I owe you anything? And I was like, no, we didn't do anything to your fucking car. Like, what? Yeah, give me $20.
You should have. You're like, yeah, I'll be about 30.
And then when the nice customers come in, I'd be throwing them shit. We were super busy today, and I couldn't find the lady's ticket in the system. She had a full synthetic oil change and 2 headlight and a tail light install. Don't know where the ticket went in the computer system. So I was like, gave her keys, and she was like, what? And I was like, you've been very patient with me, and I can't find your ticket. You're free to go.
And them titties nice, though.
No, she wasn't even like, I mean, she was like a somewhat milfy, but like, not really. She didn't have no titties. But she was just nice and patient.
Oh, okay.
And when people are kind and patient, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
almost like being a decent human being.
You know what it is? What it is everybody needs to work a customer service job at least once in their life because they can realize how shitty people are.
Right.
And then they can be like, oh, I can try not to be this shitty of a person. Then everybody would be less shitty. Because I can't tell you how many arguments I get in with moms who don't understand anything about video games, but want to argue with me about it. And I'm like, I'm here for a reason.
What do you mean my 8-year-old kid should not be playing GTA 5?
Bro, it is the most mind-boggling.
My favorite thing is, because I worked in food, like serving and shit. Well, last time they let me get like this entree as a side. I'm like, well, bitch, last time you got it wrong, and I'm not going to do it this time.
Bro, people do that with me with their ID, because like other game shops will be stupid and just will cut corners because they get super busy. Mm-hmm. And so like, it'll be like, oh, I need your ID to trade in this game. They're like, well, I didn't need that at this other GameStop. And I'm like, okay, I still need your ID. Like, what do you want for like? They're like,
You're gonna report the other games.
They're like, dude, I mean, there's nothing I can do. By a state law, I have to take your ID. And they're like, that's not a law. I'm like, I mean, okay, but I'm enforcing it like it is a law. So you can either give me the ID or I can't take the stuff in.
Yeah.
And you have to be 18. So I don't know what you want me to do here because I'm not giving you money.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, honestly, people are stupid.
I had
And
one
it's
dude argue with me today.
Always kids too. It's always
No,
those 17-year
adults.
I mean, but like
Adults
the ID
don't want to
thing.
be told that they're heinously wrong,
Big
even when
facts.
they're
That's true.
unredeemably
Big
wrong.
facts.
true.
I had one dude call today about getting a battery install. Right? He called. He was like, "Hey, do you have time to install a battery if I buy it from there?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Is there any installation fee?" I was like, "If you buy the battery from us, no, it's a free installation." He's like, "Cool." Motherfucker shows up like an hour and a half later, which pissed me off from jump. I was just like, "I told you to come in an hour and a half ago." Like, luckily we still weren't very like we had slowed down, so I was like, "You lucked out this time, dickhead." So not only did he fuck up there, he fucked up a second time by walking through the shop to get to the front of the building. It happens so often. And I'm like, where in your mind do you find that acceptable? You don't go to Walmart through the back fucking entrance in the warehouse. Hello? Just because the garage is open doesn't mean you can walk through. It's open so we can get cars out. Because they're big and they're cars. So he fucked up twice. And the third time he tried to tell me that the guy on the phone quoted me 20% off the battery, and I was like, nah.
Because I'm the guy on the phone.
Right, and I didn't drop that on him till a little bit later. I was like, nah, this battery's not 20% off. And he's like, well, is 20% of the guy on the phone? I was like, no. I was like, unless you have an online price, I can match that. And he's like, well, I didn't look online. I was like, well, there's no 20% off. And he was like, well, isn't that? And I was just like, yeah, I remember when you called. Yeah. And he's just kind of looking at me, and I was like, I never said anything about 20% off. And he's like, well, maybe I talked to one of the guys. And he's just like going on and on and on and on. And at one point, I turned my brain into baby mode. Have I told you guys about baby mode yet?
No.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's like a. I'm not gonna.
So baby mode, right? There's 3 levels. There's baby, toddler, and normal adult Cody. Baby mode is literally think of everything as if you're a baby. You're kind of there, you're watching, but you don't understand what they're saying because you're a baby. And you're just kind of going along with it. So I turned my brain into baby mode for a second. I'm just kind of looking at him with my customer service face. And then I realized I have to fill out a computer system. Toddler mode engage. Toddler mode, you're not quite there either, but you can interact with things. And you know the words they're saying, but you're a toddler, so you don't give a fuck. You're just there. You're just like, yeah, I'm in my diaper, and you're talking to me. How's it going? I'm going to move this block over here. So I was in toddler mode. I filled out his ticket. La, 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 la. The square block goes in the circle hole.
My first cash register or whatever.
Yeah, precisely. And so I did all that, and I filled it out. And then I just kind of walk away while he's still talking because I'm in toddler mode. I'm not actually there. I'm in my diaper. Look at me. I'm a baby in my diaper. And then I go to the shop, adult Cody mode back, and start talking to my supervisor. And he's like, just give him the 20% off. He's like, because if he keeps talking, the tech had already put the new battery in. He's like, because if he keeps talking, I'm gonna go over there and install the old battery and push it out in neutral. And I was like, what? And he goes, I don't give a fuck. So then we went up. I went back there and baby mode back engage. Oh, 20%. And then I was just like, have a nice day. And he's still kind of talking. He's like, well, I don't want to be a liar. And I'm like, ha 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 ha.
You know what's my
You have done that yourself in your best Obi-Wan.
my least favorite part about customer service is when you're having this argument and you know you're right, and this person knows they're wrong. But then you go ask your supervisor, and they're just like, just do it to get him out of here. And then they're like, ha, I won. And it's like, no, we let you win because you're a simpleton. That's why you won.
Because we don't want to hear you anymore.
Exactly. But like they always get this like, yeah, that's right. I'm like,
You ever get people trying to stack coupons?
yeah.
And you're looking at them like, no place does that, bitch.
Wow.
You stack coupons? You savage. Don't let them do that.
I mean, the system allows
I had to
it, but-
break it
Yeah,
down for one of the
the
new guys
system-
at Salvage & Co. I was like, yo, look, don't ever let any, we have certain rules in place. I was like, don't ever let any customer kind of, work around it a little bit. I was like, because they will just take that shit and run. Like, they'll walk in the warehouse. Oh, I know. I see my item. Can I grab it? No. And my coworker was, new, so he just kind of looked at me because I'm just pretty much cut and dry at this point.
Hmm?
We have a system. The boxes are numbered. Yes, I understand you can see the number. Yes, I understand that the number that you think is yours is in fact yours. Do I give a fuck? No.
You can wait till it's
Because you're not
processed.
walking up in this motherfucking warehouse and grabbing shit. This is not how this works. So she was like, oh, it's right here. And it was like something real small, like a fucking air mattress box or something. She's like, oh, it's right there. And I was just like, no. And then she also had an item from the floor. And I was like, actually, if you could get back in your car and pull up to the second door, that'd be fantastic. And my coworker like, and he looked at me and I was just like, look, bro. Like, I was like, you can't let them get away with anything because it'll just turn into, oh, they just let you walk up in. These people are so great. No.
Yeah, and that's how you get people that say they let me do this last time, even though they shouldn't
Bro,
be
the
doing
best
that.
the best thing about being at a job for a long time where people like the manager trusts you is you can make those decisions and there's no repercussions for them whatsoever.
Pretty much, yeah.
It is like the best feeling ever because like you can just walk up to a customer who's like,
seniority just
yeah, and
real
you're
nice,
just
yeah.
like no, and then that's just the law, and you're like, this feels good. Like it's so great.
They always be giving me shitty looks like, oh, did he just talk? Yeah, I did talk to you like that. Because this is my job, and I know the rules. Yeah. What are you going to do? Nothing. You going to complain to my manager? Guess what? We're homies on Snapchat.
Where do you work?
This
Where do you
dumb
work
bitch.
again?
My other manager listens to the podcast. What are you going to do, bitch? What are you going to do? And they're just looking at me, and I'm just like, that's right. I'm going to talk about you on my podcast.
Shouts
my manager's
outs.
going to laugh about
You've
it.
turned into material, you dumb bitch.
It's fucking fantastic.
Giving us
My
content.
response to they let me do this last time is it's always, oh, that's fantastic.
What? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
For what?
Exactly. Exactly.
Face, bro.
That's his response.
Yeah.
Oh, when people are
Oh,
like,
I did this last time. Well, that's fantastic.
oh yeah.
Or that's great, but always follow with the but. Hey! Not today, bitch.
I just like hitting them with the, oh yeah, we're actually running a special day where we charge you normally.
I just like hitting them with the that's great because they're always just like, they can't tell if it's rude or nice because I'm always real nice about it. Oh, that's great.
The new bane of my existence at my job is now that we're technically 2 stores in one, we have different sales in a lot of the stores. So they'll go to another store and be like, "Oh, this was that over there," and I'm like, "Okay, but that's not how that is here." But like, they're like, "But aren't you guys on corporate?" I'm like, "Yeah, we are, but that's not how that works." And then I have to like sit there and try and walk this through for people, and it's like, it's
Which
just
is
like,
obnoxious for you because you taken the time to learn the shit.
Yeah.
And it was annoying for you.
yeah,
And now you're just like, I gotta explain this.
yeah, and
And
also
there's no reason they need to know.
listen.
That's my biggest gripe. You don't
I
have
don't
to know
get,
why.
I don't get paid enough to explain myself to people. That's my. That's
like
why
when someone
my
comes in,
rationale
they're like,
is-
"Hey, do you have time?" When someone comes in at 7:30, and we close at 8, "Hey, do you have time for an oil change?" No. Why? What do you mean, why? Because I said no. You asked me if we could. I said no. What? I don't have to tell you why.
The only thing that sucks is that if someone brings me a trade in and it's like at 8:59, I still gotta take it. It sucks because then I've got to be there till like.
Well, see, we're super
9:50,
understaffed,
and it's
and
just
it's
like,
usually
ugh.
just me and one technician.
I'm there by myself all the time.
And it's like, hey, guess what? Computer calls for 45 minutes for an oil change. We close at 8. Sorry.
So you have your one big door that you have customers walk through. Well, my shop,
You got to.
every door opens to the outside. Every bay has a door.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, they're all open. And we have 6 doors that face the street.
Did you ever hear me honking, by the way?
No.
I drove by. This is when we were setting up the Fisher store.
Oh.
In the box truck, and I drove by it at least 3 times, just slamming on the horn. I was like, "Hi, Phil!"
But you know how many times a week, like, people just, like, pull their cars into a bay? You're like, yeah, I'm here for an oil change. And we're like, could you back the car
Could
back
you
out,
get the
please?
whole fuck out of the way. Oh, you're here for an oil change? That's great. So are the other 5 cars parked right there, bitch.
Bro, the
It's
audacity.
like you're trying to pull the car in, and you're just like, who the fuck put that there? And then you see there's a customer sitting in their car, and you're like,
That's how people.
what?
Bro, do you know how many people come to the store and they just pull right into the bay and they get out and they're like, "Can someone put air in my tire? Can somebody put air in my tire?"
You can at the gas station.
I'm not only going to inconvenience your entire area right now by blocking the one and only door for cars to come in and out, but I'm going to ask you to do something that every motherfucker who drives a car should know how to fucking do. Get a goddamn bicycle pump, bitch. I don't care. Get the fuck out of the way.
See, Cody, that's entirely too hard because you know how often we have to let air out of tires because somebody doesn't know how to read?
I had to explain to a lady. So for those who don't know, the tire pressure that your car is supposed to be at is on a sticker inside of your door.
Sometimes it says on the tire too, doesn't it?
No. It'll tell you max,
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
but
You
that's not
open
recommended.
your door, and there's a sticker right in front of your face, but everyone fucking ignores it. Everybody ignores it. They're like, I think it's 32, 38. Hello?
And what most people don't know is if you put the proper tire pressure in the tire, you actually get better gas mileage. The car rides better.
Yeah.
If your car's supposed to have 32 psi in the tires and you put 50, it's going to ride like a brick.
It's probably gonna blow.
Speaking of tires, I think someone might have drilled a screw into mine.
Or you ran it 0-1 over.
No, this is like a real long thing. Like I don't even know how it happened.
Yeah. It
George,
happens.
have you ever seen a 2-foot piece of rebar go through a wheel?
I'm telling you, man. Like these. All right, fine then.
There
Yeah,
was
that
there
happens
was
a
a
lot.
customer who came in for a tire repair, and we could only see like the edge of something poking out of the tire, and when they pulled it out, it was an entire wheel weight.
Excuse me? I'm gonna sound stupid, but what the fuck is a wheel weight?
It's what they use to balance your tires. If you look at your wheels, and if you look on the inside of them, there's these little things that they hammer into the rim of the tire
Okay.
because it has to be perfectly weighted.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way when you drive, it doesn't rattle or pull you.
So it's just a weighting
It had
system.
fell off at the perfect moment and went all the way through the fucking tire.
I feel like that's a lot of skill involved in that.
It was pretty ridiculous. Like when they weren't able to like pull it out, and so they had to like shove it back through and then get the tire off, and they were just like, "Well, there's this problem." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "This went through the tire." And I was like, and mind you, they're not sharp; they're rounded. Ugh. They're rounded objects. It went all the way through the fucking tire. You'd be surprised what you could pick up in the fucking tires. It's kind of impressive, actually.
There are actually a lot of times, George, when somebody comes in for a flat repair, and I just take my screwdriver and unthread the screw out of the tire. Because, no, when they go in, like 90% of the time, the head is always, like, in the tread,
Yeah,
and the rest
just,
of it
like,
went in, like the point went in.
Yeah, perfectly flat.
So, like, nails, you literally just kind of get underneath them, you can pull them out. And screws, if the head isn't completely worn off from driving on it, you can just stick a screwdriver in it and turn it, and it backs itself out.
Yeah, just pull it out. Caleb, focus.
What?
There was one tire today that they couldn't the valve plug, they couldn't get unscrewed. It wouldn't come out. My coworker just resorted to shanking the fuck out of it so it would release air, and it wouldn't work. This is the craziest part. He took a screwdriver and stabbed it like 8 fucking times, and you would hear as he pulled out, it would like and stop losing air, and then he would do it again, stop losing air. In the sidewall of the fucking and he's just jamming it through, and he's just like, why is this not working?
Wouldn't that thing fucking explode?
Nah.
Oh.
No. So, well, and he did make it explode eventually to get the tire off. So in order to get a tire off, there's like this machine, and it's curved. Its metal piece is curved, like,
I know what you're talking about.
and
fit
they
the rim.
press it up against the side of the tire, and it pushes it off the bead. Typically, you do that after you let all the air out because it makes a big boom. Well, we couldn't get the air out. So he's like, I'm going to make it explode. And I was like, what? I'm standing like right next to the machine. I was like, dude, chill. And he fucking presses it up, and it just, boom. And then all the air like pushes some wheel weights around and shit.
So, Caleb had some stream stuff.
Yeah, I do. Do we want to segue into that part? Or
Yeah.
Okay. But
Why else would he fucking bring it up?
That was the segue.
I was being polite, guys.
He's Paul Blart. He doesn't know what the segue is.
Man. So
That thing you were talking.
anyway, basically what happened was my raid group. We've gotten we have normal raiding on lock, like we're just fucking farming that stuff. But this last week we basically almost one-shot the entirety of heroic tier raids. We have one more boss that we haven't beaten yet. The final boss is this guy called Gahoon. So the achievement you get for finishing is called like what is it? New boss Gahoon. It's kind of funny. But
I don't
so
get it.
yeah, it's like the new phone Who Dis. I think it's actually new phone Gahoon this. Like they kind of meme sometimes. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about with WoW was that one of the long-running creators for a mod that's basically used by everyone that plays the game and does it on the higher level of it, he recently made a really long post about how he's been working basically by himself on this mod that everyone fucking uses for the past like 5 years. And was it 5 years or yeah about 5 years, and basically he's taking care of his mother, and he basically sustains himself and his mom based off of donations that he gets from his Patreon shit, because while he's been offered a job to work for Blizzard because his mod is so integral to the game at this point that a lot of the content wouldn't be doable without it. He can't relocate because his mom owns like property up in like whatever state they're in.
West Virginia.
There's a microphone. Use it.
Not West Virginia, country mama. Anyways, he wasn't able to get the job. Oh, thanks. I don't know that country sound.
It's always a little bit wrong, but you know what he means.
Yeah, that's basically my life. But the community rallied after hearing about how this guy needed, help and stuff. And he repeated multiple times, like, he hates asking for donations and help. And he likes it if, like, any donations he gets is just because people appreciate what he's doing. But because he was neglecting so much, he even had, like, a bunch of health problems that he wasn't able to get taken care of because he's basically working 24/7, constantly running simulations and constantly uploading data and writing code. So the community saw this, and then within, like, I want to say 5 days of him uploading that, they donated so much to him that they, like, well over gave him what he needed to be able to sustain himself and his mother for, like, basically indefinitely. But he's also able to, like, hold giveaways and contests where he can give money back to the people that subscribe to him.
Dope.
Which is really cool. But the real cool part is that Blizzard and MSI, because he was talking about how his computer was getting old and stuff, and I couldn't afford to get a new one, which was affecting how he was able to make his content and stuff for that mod. And so Blizzard and MSI, Blizzard being the people that make World of Warcraft, and MSI being the gaming tech developer, both sent him this, like, care package. And basically inside of it was a super high-end gaming computer, and then a copy of the newest expansion of World of Warcraft that's signed by all the developers from Blizzard. And so they're like, I wonder where the message is. Baby shark.
While you find that,
baby shark.
that's super dope.
Yeah.
Like, anytime, like, because gaming communities all have this stigma of being, like, these shitty old fat dudes who just shit on kids and are mean all the time and stuff like that. But, like,
Or kids who
or kids who are just rude as fuck. But, like, when they can come together, they're like, they can do good things, and they're actually cool people within the gaming community that no one ever sees, which I just think is kind of dope that shows that there are good people out there like that.
Yeah.
I think that was the whole reason Rooster Teeth does that. What's it called? They always joke it's for the kids.
Oh,
Extra Life every year. Yeah, it's to show that gamers are a positive thing.
Yeah. Video games. Video games.
Speaking of video games, while Caleb is still frantically looking for his stuff.
I can't type, guys.
It's okay. We'll fill. This next couple of weeks, I know Phil and George answered my text. Cody did not, because Cody works all the time and he's a shithead for it.
If y'all shit on my work ethic one more time, I'm gonna fuck you in your ass.
Okay. But we're gonna try and start putting out gaming videos in the next month or so. because I'm tired of just sitting here talking about it. We're actually gonna fucking do it.
Oh yeah, I got an Xbox now.
Unless you-
That's the other reason why.
We are one step closer.
Yeah.
Unless
So
you've been watching my streams, then you'll get plenty of gaming content.
well, that's the other thing. It was we'll talk about that later.
I need a
Never mind.
USB, don't I?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's easy. But we're trying to do that. Hopefully, the first thing that we thought about playing was Sniper Elite 3, probably, because 4 is expensive and we're broke boys. But Sniper Elite
Y'all
3,
are broke boys.
Yeah. Facts.
Shit, your boy making money.
Oh, there you go. Stunting on these hoes. But yeah, so
All
that's
this money and nowhere to live.
it's just kind of add
quiet
to
over there.
it. Just trying to shut up. The three of you be quiet, okay? Stop.
There
it.
Phil's
you
not a
go.
broke boy. He's a money held up boy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. But we're just trying to add more comedic stuff to our I guess not intentionally comedic, but just us being us in a more natural, non-serious state.
And
that
then
this
maybe
podcast
vlog
can be.
series on the way?
Uninteresting though.
Huh?
What?
Do what?
Behind the scenes vlog series to show all the fuckery we get into.
Yeah, there's a lot that we're trying to plan out, and then we're just gonna say fuck it, and we're just gonna start doing it because we're those kind of people who will talk about it for years and just never fucking do it.
So we're gonna document our drunken shenanigans.
Yeah.
Or-
You guys will document your drunken shenanigans when you're at the bars. I will document everything else we do.
He'll document his drunken shenanigans when he comes over and passes out on the couch.
Oh my God, you're a hilarious drunk.
You are.
You
Bro.
are the best kind of
We're
drunk.
done with this podcast. Thank you for listening to the Classic Urban
Wait,
Podcast.
wait.
This has been OG Philly G.
Fuck,
And I am your mother's favorite side hoe.
It's your boy, Baby Ice Cube.
You said that twice.
I'm George.
And I'm Henry and Gripos. Catch me on